and we are going to deal with the concepts of value and demand here in this chapter. So you all know my policy here on food in the classroom. I'd like to give one person an opportunity to, with my permission, to disregard that rule here for the sake of our class this morning. So I also need somebody who's not allergic to peanuts. By the way, do we have a, oh yeah, we do, yeah. So before I go forward with this, I need to find out if there is somebody eating a Snickers around you, is that problematic? Because if so, I can change this. Okay. Well, yeah, please tell me if this, I have an alternative here to Snickers. Would that be better? Okay, yeah, let's use something different. Okay, so we will not use the Snickers this morning. That is okay. I do have an alternative. So I brought with me, oh, actually somebody did bring in a donut for me that's partially eaten. I've not finished it yet. Yeah. Pretty awesome. Yeah, so I have some Starburst here, Starburst jelly beans this morning. Now, it's only going to apply for one person. Only one person is going to get their share of jelly beans this morning, and only fair way I can think of to do that is to start auctioning them off. So for I don't. I'll give you an iPhone. So now I'm not really going to take your money. If I were to ask here, which how many of you would be willing to, let's say, sacrifice some points, or to return some points to me on a participation grade? Put your wallet away. Your participation grade. Okay, so that's, it's not a significant part of the overall assessment for this class, but let's just say you're going to do that. How many would be willing to, for as many jelly beans as you can eat in this class period, will be willing to give me 5 points back on your participation? Okay, so I've got several of you. 10 points, 30 points on today's participation. 40 points. 50 points off of your participation for today?
You can take every single point.
Bad students.
You want it that bad?
Yes.
The two of you, you're willing to sacrifice 100 points. Max, are you willing to go that extreme too? 100? Okay. So the 3 of you are my 3 finalists then. So here's what I'd like to begin doing then. Since the 3 of you are there, I would like for you to take out a sheet of paper for me. All 3 of you take out a sheet of paper. Nope, it can be a scrap piece of paper. No problem.
I would like to withdraw my spot.
You want to withdraw? Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
I'll take her spot.
All right.
Wait, are you actually taking away points?
No.
Okay, then I'll stay.
Can I jump?
Now.
Withdraw and then come back.
And I took her spot.
So here's what I want you to do on your sheet of paper there. I want you to create a list by tens for me, okay? So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, down the line, down your list. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way up to, let's say, 100. All right. And I think, Hannah, I think I'm going to have you back out, and we're just going to go with Max and Hope today. So you are going to need to count as you consume your jelly beans today. And you are welcome to continue eating them through class, but here's the deal. You can't stop eating. You have to keep eating. You can't give these away. You cannot save them for later. They cannot accidentally fall down into your backpack. You need to keep eating. Nope. You got to keep eating. Okay? So right now, up at the top of your sheet of paper, How excited are you, scale of 1 to 10, to start eating these Starbursts right now, or these Starburst jelly beans? Scale 1 to 10, top of your paper, circle it. That's what you're beginning of. 10 is, I am so pumped that I get to eat these in class. Nobody else does. You're only at an 8. Okay, so be it. Max, where are you at? You're at a set. Okay. Man, some of you are over here going, man, I'd be at a 10. Why did you pick them? Okay. It's okay. So I'm just going to start you off here, and let me know when you need a refill. So if you hold out your hands, I'll give you a few. And when you get to your first 10, you finish your first 10, I want you to reevaluate your excitement level of continuing to eat more of these jelly beans, okay? Okay. So I'm just going to let you guys continue doing that. Please keep paying attention as we're going along, but we'll check in with you all a little bit later. And remember the deal. You can't stop eating. You can't stop eating unless you're going to throw up, or unless you're at the point where you just say, no, I'm done. But I want to know how many you have consumed. So that's why I want you to keep track here every 10. And after every 10 jelly beans that you eat, reevaluate your level of excitement to continue eating those jelly beans. Scale of 1 to 10. Okay, and we'll check in with you a little bit later. Now, the rest of us, we are going to continue talking about the value and demand. So let's just imagine here for a moment that you've got $10 in your pocket. And we were to walk into our favorite donut shop, and you have $10 in your pocket. How many donuts would you want to buy if the donuts in that donut shop were 25 cents? And so somewhere, either on your computer next to your notes or on a sheet of paper next to you, I want you to write down a number that pertains to you personally. Now, you may be sitting in this class, you may say, Mr. Jones, I really don't like donuts. You're welcome to see me after class. We will talk. But if you really don't like donuts, you say, you know what, I don't care. I don't really want to buy donuts. Then if they are 25 cents, mark 0. And it doesn't matter the price, you're not going to buy a donut. But if they were 25 cents, how many donuts would you be willing to buy if they're 25 cents a piece, knowing that you have $10, and that $10 is, let's just say it's flexible money. So it's not like you have to buy that, you have to use that $10 to buy lunch today. So you just have an extra $10. Let's just say you picked it up in the parking lot and it was floating along there and you couldn't find the owner and you got $10, okay? So how many donuts you'd be willing to buy at 25 cents? And then I want you to jump over here. What if they were 50 cents each? How many would you buy? If they were $1 a piece, how many would you buy? What if they jumped the price to $3 and then all the way up to $5 per donut? And I want you to complete this chart based off your own personal preference and affinity for donuts. Josh, you have a question? Do you have a question or to answer it? Or we move past it? No, you cannot sell them. These are for your own personal consumption and enjoyment. How many are you willing to buy at those prices? Well, no, maybe I'll take that back. Maybe you can do whatever you want with them. You can do whatever you want. He asked if he could turn them around and sell them. So I'll let you decide what you do with it. Whatever your motivation is. I'll backtrack on that. You can do whatever you want with them. If you want to bring them in and give them to your favorite econ teacher, then you're welcome to do that. Oh, you're out? Okay, good. How far along are you?
I'm at 23.
23.
Oh.
Okay. There you go. Max, you still got some more? Good. All right. Good to go. Excellent. Now, has everybody completed your chart or written down your numbers here? Okay. So, let's start with Austin. 25 cents a piece. How many donuts you're willing to buy? 4 donuts. Okay. What happens when the price goes to 50 cents? How about $1? $3? And I'm assuming $5, you'd say 0 too, okay? Um, Sadie, what about you? 25 cents a piece. How many donuts are you buying? One? 50 cents. And I'm assuming 0 then the rest of the way out. Okay. So yours is pretty low, but still you're willing to buy 1 here at this point. Samuel, what about you?
4, 2, 1, 1, 1.
Okay. 4, 2, 1, 1, 1. So again, willing to buy 4 at 25 cents a piece. Charlie, where are you at?
1, maybe 2, 1, 1, 0, 0.
Okay, you're the first one to tell me that you would buy more at 50 cents than you would at 25 cents. Can you explain your rationale there?
No. 1 or 2 for 1 to 5.
Oh, okay.
And 1 for 50.
I understand now. Okay. Did anybody go against the trend and say that you would be willing to buy more donuts the further to the right on the scale that you went? Did anybody write that down and note that as your preference?
Actually, there is merit.
Well, we may get there, but nobody did. Why not?
Because we're cheap.
You're cheap, okay? Okay. Well, this is free money you just found along the side of the road.
The same donuts for just different prices?
Yes, same donuts.
Okay.
Max, need more? Yep. Okay, Max, let's check in with your, how many are you at right now?
28.
28, okay. We'll just throw some more here on your desk for you. Try to keep those from spilling. There you go. Okay. And Hope. Oh, well, we'll see how far we go. Hope, where are you at as far as your level of enthusiasm and excitement toward eating these at this very moment?
I'm at an 8.
You're at an 8, so you're staying pretty consistent. Max, are you still about a 7? You're at a 9, so it's going up. Good. You are loving this. Great. So, here's what I want you to see. When we look at the price of donuts, the higher the price, what happens to the amount of donuts we're willing to buy? Goes down, okay? So as the price goes up, we are willing to buy less donuts. When they're really cheap, when they're only 25 cents a piece, across the board, everybody said that they would be willing to buy more at a cheaper price. That is part of what we need to understand when it comes to value and demand. Let's not go backwards. Let's go forward. But value is in the mind of the buyer. Because some of you said that you would only be willing to buy 1 donut at 25 cents a piece, and I think you're crazy. 25 cents a piece, I'm at least buying 2, probably 3, because I'll eat 2 now with my coffee, and I'll save a 3rd one for later on. Yesterday, they made the mistake of, during Dads and Donuts, they put a sign right there by this long table of donuts that extended the entire length of the gym. They said, students 1, dads 2 plus. I mean, that's like a buffet right there. I mean, there was no limit on that. So I will say I exercised some restraint and some self-control yesterday. I only ate 1 there, and then I took 1 to go for later. So I was a little bit proud of myself. But value is in the mind of the buyer. Some of you, when you look at certain items, it would not be valuable to you. When you look at donuts, it's not really your thing. Or you look at the jelly beans that I was passing out a moment ago, that's not really your thing. Or you look at video games. People spend a ton of money on those video games, and that's not really your thing. But yet, there's something else that you hold a lot of value in and would pay close attention to. So value is in the mind of the buyer. And looking for more? Sweet. Whoa, we're overflowing. Couple escaping on the floor. Yeah, they might just start rolling. Okay, so because we know, she figured it out. Good. Because we know that a good may have different values to different people, it is possible that different goods may have different values for different individuals. So we could look at a particular donut, and that donut may hold a value for one person at 25 cents, yet for somebody else, they might be willing to pay 75 cents for that exact same donut or the same quantity. Value also, because we know it's in the mind of the beholder, it's in the mind of the buyer, that item can go for multiple different prices based on the location or where it's being sold. I think eBay is a good example of that when you look at the different values that people place on it, or even Amazon, or when we do online shopping. Part of the reason why you all do comparison shopping between different stores in your projects is because you may go into Best Buy, and if that's the only store you walk into, what if Best Buy holds a higher value on all of their products across the board than what any other store in town does? Well, unless you go compare Best Buy with somewhere else, you're not going to have that information. You're not going to know where they're at. And so it's so important for us to understand that people have the right to set a value on the item however they want to, and we need to try to figure out where that lies. Now, with diminishing marginal utility, values are not constant from one person to another. It's not constant from item to item. And so when we look at, I need to quit hitting the wrong button. This idea here was developed by William Stanley Jevons. Max, where are you at?
I'm at 8.
You're at an 8. And how many jelly beans are we at now?
I have 54.
54 jelly beans. We're at an 8. Okay, here we go.
At which point would you stop eating jelly?
That granted, I was in like 6th grade.
Now, Hope, where are you at?
I'm at 81.
81.
Which number is that?
And what number are you at on satisfaction level here? An 8. You are staying consistent. That's awesome. Now, William Stanley Jevons came up with this concept of diminishing marginal utility, where he helped us to understand this idea, which I'm anticipating we're going to get to with our 2 assistants here. However, they may be stubborn enough or may just be enjoying their jelly beans enough that it may not necessarily hold true, because I may run out of jelly beans before we get to this point. But this is the idea of diminishing marginal utility, that people tend to receive less and less, that's that word diminishing, additional satisfaction. Okay, so when you see that term marginal, anytime in economics, you need to think about additional. That is a word that you will often see in the economic terminology. When you see marginal, just think additional. Okay, so people tend to receive less and less additional satisfaction from any good or service the more that you obtain of it. So most of you illustrated that through your willingness to purchase donuts the higher and more expensive that they went. These 2 here may help us illustrate that, the more jelly beans that they continue to consume. Right now, they're staying pretty level. But I think we may get to a point, again, unless I run out of jelly beans, where that level of satisfaction may start to dwindle down a little bit. I think we've all experienced this at some point in life, and a lot of times we can relate it to food. You ever gone to a buffet? Been super pumped to walk into that buffet? I remember one time in high school, it was before I understood anything about girls, and before I really understood much about, being accepted as part of the cool community. I was a sophomore, and I was in a new school, and we were on a basketball trip, and on our way home, we decided to stop at Golden Corral. And we stopped at Golden Corral. Of course, I was hungry. It was after a basketball game. I was like, yes, let's do this. And I thought everybody would think, hey, that's pretty cool if they could see how many plates I had stacked up because of all the food I'd eaten. And so me and a couple other guys in the team were like, yeah, we're going to have like this castle built up of plates because we've eaten so much. And everybody's going to walk by like, ooh, man, you guys ate a ton of food. You guys are so cool. That didn't happen, by the way. Nobody said that, and I don't think we're really that cool. But I remember finishing up my last plate and saying, guys, I think I'm going to have to be done now. And when I stood up out of that booth, all the food just kind of sank in my stomach. And I was not sure I was actually going to be able to walk out of there. I stopped. I thought maybe I was going to lose it all out in the parking lot. As I was walking out to the bus, I had like the cold sweats, and I just did not feel well. I'd overeaten. By the time I got to that last plate, I was just doing it for the peer pressure. I was doing it to finish it. I was not receiving any level of satisfaction or enjoyment from it. You know, I don't even remember. I just remember there was a mountain of plates by our booth with all, I think there were 4 of us guys there. So I think we can illustrate that with almost any food. The more you have of it, the less you tend to enjoy it. And that's the same thing true with most of these economic concepts as well. So when you see this term, diminishing marginal utility, this is the explanation and the full idea. And I tried to include each of those key terms in here so we can connect those a little bit better. So what does this have to do with demand? Okay. Hopefully we'll be able to answer that by the time we are all said and done. But when we think about this definition here, people tend to receive less and less satisfaction from any good or service the more they obtain of it. What do you think that might have to do with the idea of demand for a product? Let's go back to donuts for a moment. How would that affect the consumer demand based off of diminishing marginal utility? The more donuts that people have, are they going to demand more, or are they going to demand less? Less. Why?
It's no longer a necessity.
It's not a necessity. Okay. Why else might they demand less the more they have of it?
Does it become as special to them because, like, if you don't eat donuts all the time, it's always a good occasion to have a donut. But if you just have them every day, then as you just get used to eating them, and then the
Yep.
value of them goes down because you just have them every day.
Yes, you get used to it. You get familiar with it. Have any of you already bought your own car? Okay. Our 2 jelly bean eaters. Okay. So, Max, you bought a car. How long ago did you buy that car?
Probably
4 or 5 months ago. Okay. Was this a newer or older car?
it's like 10 years old.
Okay.
12 years.
Okay. Was this your first car? Okay. How excited were you to get the keys and to jump in it and say, "This is mine"? Pretty excited. Okay. Did you have any kind of crazy rules like we're not going to have any food in this car, or we're going to like keep it clean and that type of thing, or were you pretty much just whatever? Okay. So did you drive that car today to school? You did. Okay. Was your excitement level the same this morning getting into that car as it was day one jumping into that car?
I'm having some brake problems with my
Okay, so, all right, compounding the fact of the law of diminishing marginal utility, we are also having some car troubles with it. But I think that also helps us to understand the more familiar we are with an item, the more the novelty, the excitement begins to wear off. And that's also illustrating here William Stanley Jevons' point here of the more we have of something. So how do you think this affects pricing of business? If you know that people have a lot of something or they have it easily available, what are you going to do to your prices? Why are you going to bring them down? Because if they're too expensive, they're going to go somewhere else, or they're just not going to buy it because they're too familiar with it. And so when you are creating a business or when you're looking at the economy and you're trying to figure out your place in all of that, you need to understand this idea of the law of demand in order to meet that demand and make ends meet. How you guys doing on jelly beans? You got a good supply? Oh, it looks like Max is needing a refill. Max, where are you at on the number of jelly beans you're at today? 87.
97.
Oh, 97. And looks like you're down around a 7, which is still good. But we are starting to see a little bit of a decline. Hope you are at 110 and you are at a 6 now. Okay. So slowly but surely, we're starting to see that level of excitement, enthusiasm for eating these jelly beans in class today start to diminish. The marginal utility is diminishing the more and more that they have of something. I still have more jelly beans too, by the way, so let me know when you're all ready for some more. So if we were to graph this idea, and you were to see this on a sheet of paper, this is the best way to graph it. And I think about this cartoon here. You know, the guy is stranded on a deserted island, so excited about that first box of baked beans that sails up next to him right along the island, so pumped about it. And then later on, he's got stacks and stacks of the same thing. You know, no more at this point. Okay, the graph shows us this here. If we were to use candy bars, in this case we're using jelly beans today in class, but if we were to use candy bars, when we start at the very beginning, a lot of times there is an increase in our level of satisfaction because we're enjoying it. And the more we have of it, yeah, we're moving forward and it tastes good and I'm excited to continue to eating those candy bars or those jelly beans, but at some point we plateau. And in this particular graph, it's somewhere between candy bar 5 and candy bar 6 that we say, you know what, I think I'm good. I don't really think I want another one, because at the time you get now to candy bar number 7, what has happened to our level of satisfaction? It has begun to decline. And as soon as your level of satisfaction begins to decline, you no longer place as much value on that item, and you're willing to pay less, you're willing to do less for it. I have to imagine that if I ask these guys again, and I'm not really going to take points off your participation, you've actually done a really good job today. But if I ask you that question again now that you've had over 100 jelly beans, your motivation for more jelly beans is probably much less at this point, would be my assumption. The Snicker bar sounds good, because now you're starting to get that sugar coma of, you know, and the grit in your teeth, and you just had fruity flavor, and you're probably ready for something a little bit different. But sorry, you're not getting it. So keep eating on the jelly beans until you get down. When you get down to 0, I cannot eat anymore. Mark a 0 on there, and I'll let you be done. Okay? But until then, we press on. So in your notes, and I realize that many of you are using my slides or you're doing these digitally, you need to be able to recognize this as a diminishing marginal utility graph. And you need to be able to identify certain things that we just pointed out, like at what point does that person's interest or demand begin to fall off. You need to be able to identify that on this type of graph. So any questions here on this or diminishing marginal utility? Okay. Yes?
So it starts to fall at 6 then?
Yes, somewhere between 6 and 7. So if you were to answer this, at what point does this individual lose interest? It would be at candy bar number 7. Because at candy bar number 6, he is still way up here at 16 utils of satisfaction. So 6 would not be a good answer. It would be 7, because now it has dropped down to about 15.5. So the 7th candy bar is the one that puts him over the edge and begins that downhill decline. So candy bar number 7 would be the best one there. And you see here when we get to candy bar number 10, he's all the way down to 2, which is less than where he started at 6. Morgan?
So it's the measure of their satisfaction, right?
Yes.
Of the product.
So this here is measuring it in level of satisfaction. We said utils in our last unit. We all laughed at that, but we are measuring in utils of satisfaction. These two here with their jelly beans, they're measuring in utils of satisfaction. So we are trying to figure out at what point are we no longer increasing in satisfaction. We are now declining in satisfaction. And again, our measurement tool is the util. More, yes. If they don't reach
0 by the end of class.
well, she's down at 4 right now, and she's at 130. So we've already seen an illustration of my point of diminishing marginal utility. We just may not quite get all the way to 0. Max is at 6, so he is still holding pretty strong.
Where's he at? The number, Dylan?
110?
115.
115?
Do it for
Okay.
psychology.
There you go. Yeah, she's about 15 or 20 ahead of you, and she's down to a 4 now.
Oh, it's gonna go back up. I've got some more.
Oh, yeah, we just got one. Okay, good. Can you see it here in the Disneyland pricing? What's going on? The more days that you spend at Disneyland, what happens to the price? It goes down. Why does it go down?
They're gonna make more money by having it.
Okay, well, yes, that's true. They're going to make more money by keeping you there longer, but why wouldn't they keep the price the same for every day that you're there longer? The more days you're there, are you willing to spend as much as what you were on day one? According to the law of diminishing marginal utility, no, you're not. Now, many of you have been to Disneyland or Disney World. You may say, well, by the time I get to day 2, I'm still as pumped as day 1. And that may be true, but when you think about the overall principle, it's illustrated here. And from a business standpoint, Disneyland is also thinking that if I give them a break, the more days they're here, then it's going to bring that level of satisfaction back up. And we're not going to get to that tipping point where the person going to Disneyland says, you know, after 2 days, I'm good. I don't want to spend a full price ticket on $96 on day number 3, so I'm going to go home. But if they're on the marginal utility scale, they're saying, you know what, for day 3, it's only going to cost me $75. Yeah, that's still worth it. I think I'll go for day 3. And then on day 4, it drops down to 62. When am I ever going to get back to Disneyland again? So $62, that's way cheaper than what I spent on day 1. So yeah, I think I'll do one more day. There were a couple rides I didn't get to go to. My kids really want to go back for another day. Yeah, we'll spend another $62 on that. Or that's per day, but this is, I guess $250 per ticket. So when we look at even their pricing schedule, we may think, hey, Disneyland's trying to give us a deal. No, what are they trying to do? Well, they're trying to get your money, yes, but what are they trying to do as far as motivation? Keep you there. They're trying to motivate you and keep your utility levels high so you still think you're getting a good deal. You're still happy about being there. Because I can tell you that if it were $96 every day, I guess I see they've just added all that price together. That's why it's $250 per ticket. So if it were $96 per day, I would get to a point where I say, yeah, I'm done. I'm not spending more money on that. So happens in everyday life as well. So let's talk about prices for a moment. You guys doing okay on jelly beans today? Anybody else need, or any of you guys need any more? Good? Okay, yeah, you still got some out sitting there. Okay, so let's talk prices. So why do we have prices? A couple of reasons here economically of why we have prices. Prices help to transmit information to us. It is from Kohl's, yeah. You ever? Yeah. In my opinion, one of the best things that they have done there is the digital pricing, because all I have to do is from a computer in the back, they can change the price in a moment's notice. Now, not that they do, but you've all been in a store where somebody has left the price tag on from a sale too long, and then you go up to the cash register and it rings up as a wrong price, and then depending on the store, they might honor it, they might not. But they did that. Yeah. So anyway, prices transfer information. And it's not just that they're telling us what the value of that item is, because really a store can't tell you the value of something. If we understand the whole concept that value is individual to the person, they can't tell you, well, that shirt is worth $12.99. It's only worth $12.99 if you're willing to spend the money on it. So prices are going to tell us how much the customer is willing to pay for an item. If that shirt hanging on the rack right there is priced at $109, yeah, most of us are going to pass on that. So we have now learned, that information has been transferred, that the customer is not willing to spend that much money on that price. But the prices also help inform us and tell the store owner how much of that item he should buy from the factory. So if we have the price here at $12.99 for these particular shirts on the rack at Kohl's, and we put them on day 1 and they fly off the rack and they get sold really quickly, what do you think our pricing schedule looks like, or what would you think should happen with our price? Should we keep it the same? Should we raise it? Should we lower it? Probably raise it, because that means that people have a higher value placed on that shirt than what we originally did, so we could make more money by raising the price on it. So it then tells the store owner, hey, go out and order more of these shirts because they're going to sell well. So that trickles down then to the factory, because the factory then gets a big order from Kohl's for more shirts. The factory now is told, you got to make more shirts, so we have to pass that on. We have to go back to the supplier and get their product from the farmer or get their product from wherever it is that they're getting that natural resource from. And then it also tells the farmer how much to produce. So it goes all the way down to the basic level in the natural resources. Max? Needing some more. Max, how many have we consumed at this point?
Exactly 140.
140. Don't worry, I will not tell your basketball coach about this. And your level of satisfaction at this point is what? A 4. Wow. Hope, where are we at with you?
162, and I'm at a 3.
At a 3. Okay. You guys are being good sports today. I'm almost out of jelly beans too, by the way. And if you think about it, the two of you have almost consumed a half of a bag of jelly beans. 14-ounce bag of jelly beans here. So if we finish off this bag, I won't look into the calorie count or sugar count for you at the moment, but that bag is meant to last 10 people, and we've spread it around 2. So prices not only transmit information, but they also provide incentives. Prices help provide incentives. So the more that the store sells, the more shirts that they sell, the more that they can pay the factory, who then the factory can pay the farmer more, and the farmer is given the incentive to produce more and to work harder, longer, to make more money. So every step along the way, every element of the economy and the part of the circular flow model is impacted based off of these prices. And that provides that information, and it helps to provide incentive so that the more the store sells, the more that they can pay the factory, the more the factory can then pay the farmer, and the more that the farmer is willing to produce and to make. Prices also help redistribute income. If you find that you can open a store that satisfies the needs of consumers, you're going to make money. Hope, are you done?
Yeah, I quit.
You are done. You are at a 0 now at this point. You are unwilling to eat any more. How many did you eat total?
160.
160.
Keep going, man.
Okay, can I borrow this, please? Okay. I'm going to make an example of Hope's life experience here.
Of regret.
Hope's life, as illustrated by
So take a look here. Here's how we are going to graph this. We'll take a moment break here from our notes up on the screen to be able to graph. Yes, well done. So what I'm going to put on my axis right here, my numbers 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I'm not going to have enough room to do that.
go by twos.
Yeah, let's go.
0, 20.
Make it 162.
Okay, we'll spread that out a little bit there. Just going to keep going, huh? Okay, so if we're going to graph this, we said that we're going to do this on a level of 1 to 10. So if you are asked to graph, which at some point you might be, it's important that you label your graph. Okay, so I'm going to label this one for the jelly beans. This one is my utility. So I begin here looking at when she started off, she was at 20, she was in an 8. So I'm going to plot a dot right there. At 40, she was also at an 8, no change. At 60, she was at a 7, slight change. 80, jump back to an 8. 90 at an 8. Oh, no, we got to go 100. 100, we go to a 7. At 120, we are at 6. At 130, we are at 140, we're at 4. 160, we're at 0. Now, she did have a little dip right here, and that's okay. But that's what Hope's utility schedule looks like. It illustrates for us the more that she had, the less enjoyment there. So I think if we were going to do max as well, we would see something similar on this. But if you were asked to graph something like this on your test or on a quiz or on a homework assignment, simply make sure that you label your axis so that you know where your utility is. And typically, utility is going to be on this side of the axis. And then the number of items would be down here on the bottom. And then just plot your points and connect the dots. That's why we learn to do dot to dot in preschool. Okay? It's for economics of senior year or junior year. So, any question on how to put that onto a graph based off of the information you were given here? Not hard, but yet need to be able to interpret what's going on with all of that. So, we're talking about here, prices help to redistribute income. The way that works is, again, through the circular flow model. Those that satisfy the needs of the buyers are going to make wealth. And if you can continue to find a way to keep people excited about buying your product or coming back to your store, again, it's why people put so much money into marketing today, is that they're wanting to bring people in to satisfy their needs, and then they can make a profit. But those who ignore the demands of the economy, those who ignore their customers, are going to find that they end up losing business. They're not going to be increasing their income, and eventually they're going to lose their business altogether. And it comes down to this when we're talking about prices. If a person holds a value for an item that is greater than or equal to the price, then a sale is going to be made. If a person holds a value for an item that is greater than or equal to its price, a sale will be made. Again, I like to use a lot of food illustrations because it makes sense to me. I'm not a huge fan of McDonald's, but I eat there. I like the fact that the prices are low. I can take my family there and I can feed them for relatively little money. Now, they have a line of quarter pounders that are like, they're called their artisan burgers, which is supposed to be a fancy way of doctoring up a McDonald's hamburger to make it seem like it should be more expensive than what it is. Okay, so those burgers by themselves, I think, are like $4 or $5. That is out of my price range for McDonald's food. That's just, for me, I do not hold a value for that item equal to that price. I think that's too expensive to buy something from McDonald's. Personal opinion, you may disagree. However, McDonald's has a mobile app. And so from time to time, they will put a coupon on their mobile app that if you buy any item on their menu, it can be a $1 menu item, so you can buy a $1 Coke, then you can get a discounted price on those really expensive burgers. So I think it was last weekend. I took advantage of that, and I bought a $1 drink, and the coupon was you get one of these burgers for $1. So they take that $5 burger, discount it to $1. I tell you what, at that point, a sale was made because I walked out of there for $2.12 with a massive artisan burger and a Coke for $2.12. Because at that point, now I held a value for that item that was greater than the price. I probably would have been willing to pay $2 for that burger, but they gave it to me for $1. I was pretty excited about that. So I I think we could all come up with an illustration similar to that as well when we think about that. But in order for us to really understand the idea of true pricing, we need to merge supply and demand, which we are going to do another day.